Thanks to Hello Games for sponsoring this video. If you have never played No Man's Sky, this video is for you because believe it or not, neither myself or Livid has ever, and I mean ever, stepped foot inside this game. It's hard to believe, almost a decade after its release, but I think that's exactly why the team wanted us to share this video with you. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and today we're taking all you first-timers to the stars and breaking down how to jump into No Man's Sky in 2025. It sounds silly, but like the hundreds of games we play every year, everything starts with the menus. No Man's Sky has a lot of game modes people might not realize, and that means whether you're a casual player or want to push your planetary survival skills to the limit, there's a difficulty setting tailored to you. Normal, as is usually the case, is the ideal choice for new players, giving you the baseline experience as the developers intended. Relaxed makes the game significantly easier, combat is far less prevalent, and a lot of the systems have reduced complexity. Creative is perfect for players who don't care so much about the adventure elements and just want to build cost-free. Survival is for more experienced hardcore players who are looking for an increased challenge. Custom, one of the coolest modes in No Man's Sky, gives you the ability to tweak every individual setting, giving you the freedom to tweak elements of the game to your heart's content. Finally, there are expeditions. Every so often, Hello Games will launch special events, sometimes new, sometimes replays of old events, and these will be available for a limited time with unique rewards. This adds a different dimension to the game if you're looking to just change things up. As you can see, there's really a game mode for every type of player, which is why it was easy for us to jump in, even with no knowledge of the game. When starting No Man's Sky for the very first time, you'll spawn on a completely random, hazard-filled planet. This is where you'll learn all the basics of the game, but since there are billions of planets in this game, it's very possible you're the only one who's ever stepped foot on your particular planet in the 9 years the game has been released. It's pretty cool. Now, before you step off, you first need to understand all the things that are on your screen, all of which are essential to your survival. In the bottom left of your HUD, it will tell you the name of the planet, the temperature of your current environment, the radiation level, and the toxicity level. In the top left of your HUD, the big long white bar is your shield, which will regenerate after not taking damage for a period of time. Each plus sign pip below that is your actual health, and as you progress in the game, these can increase. You're going to have no idea where to go first, so it's important to get your bearings as soon as possible. First up, keep an eye out for caves. We didn't realize how important these were when we first started, but caves can be a serious lifesaver on any hazardous planet. When you're inside, you're unaffected by the harsh environment, and your hazard protection will regenerate. Since we initially spent a little time outside of the hazards, once you've been affected by them, new UI elements pop up in the bottom left. The top bar indicates your hazard protection. This will naturally go down over time on hazardous planets, which you can replenish by either ducking into a cave or sealed structure like a base or an outpost. You can also use sodium or ion batteries to replenish this meter. Keep an eye out for resources that reward sodium, especially these little yellow sodium-rich plants that are all over the galaxy, which give a nice burst to your sodium reserves. This is one of those core resources you'll want to carry with you at all times. The bottom bar indicates your life support. If this runs out, you're in trouble. It's critical you maintain either a solid stockpile of oxygen or life support gel, the latter of which we'll explain when talking about crafting. Once you understand all the things on your screen, it's time to start your No Man's Sky adventure in earnest. But first, a quick movement tip. If you melee attack, Q on keyboard or right bumper on controller, and immediately follow it up with your jetpack, instead of going vertical, you'll rocket forward, allowing you to cover large distances quickly. This will quite literally save you hours of traversal time, handy when running is really your only option. Your first steps are simple. Follow the game's tooltips, which will lead you through the main progression path to fully unlock your tools, starship, base, and more. This new player experience has been refined over the last 9 years and feels really smooth, even for new players. So if these types of games usually overwhelm you, know that there's a thread that pulls you through the entire first part of the game. However, this is a survival game, and as such, you'll want to keep your eyes peeled for a few essential resources, But to maximize those, you'll need to learn the nuances of the mining beam and multi-tool. Left-clicking or right trigger on controller will, by default, fire your mining beam, and this is one of those tools you'll be using from start to finish throughout your No Man's Sky journey. The beam has decent range and will begin harvesting whatever harvestable item you point it at. The beam will start out green, but as you hold it longer, it will gradually change colors until it's red and overheats. The kicker here is that your multi-tool deals more damage the closer it is to overheating. The more damage you deal, the faster you harvest resources, and the less fuel you consume in the long run. That means you'll want to push your tool, but not too much, and that balance is something you'll need to get comfortable with to maximize your resource gathering rate. If you do run out of energy, you'll need to refuel your mining beam, and it's as simple as going into your multi-tool menu, clicking on the depleted mining beam module, and selecting a resource to replenish its energy. As a channel that prides ourselves on really mastering game systems, we found that there was a surprising amount of nuance with No Man's Sky systems, and if you can master those elements within the game's basic systems, you'll set yourself up really well as more complex ideas are introduced. Pressing Tab on your keyboard or Select on your controller will take you to No Man's Sky's inventory, and here is where you'll eventually have access to your exosuit, starship, multi-tool, exocraft, and more, all denoted by the various tabs at the top of your screen. The top set of slots in a respective tab in the Technology section is where you'll install upgrades and manage each tool's systems long-term. At the beginning of the game, you'll see the mining beam attachment as well as a broken scanner attachment, which you should aim to repair as soon as possible. If you click on your mining beam, you'll see that you can recharge your beam using various resources, the easiest of which to find being carbon. The number in parentheses is how much carbon you currently have in your inventory. The number to the left of that is how much will be consumed in an attempt to refill your charge back to 100%. On the other hand, the bottom slots are the cargo section, and it's where you can both store and craft items, provided you have free space to do so. Between crafting, looting, harvesting, and refining, you can run out of space quickly, so keep in mind that it's not always best to loot everything you see early on. Stay focused on progressing so you can eventually unlock base building and storage, which makes your life infinitely easier. I also want to take a quick moment to point out two really important things regarding your inventory and technology management that I wish we knew before sinking dozens of hours into the game. First off, at the start of the game, both your ship and multi-tool are C-class, and as a result, are more limited in their overall long-term capabilities. You'll want to make the leap to B-class or higher for both of these as soon as you can. You can find better multi-tools as quest rewards from various vendors, or even during special events, and better ships can often be bought from the NPC pilots at trade posts. Second, both the amount of and the arrangement of technology slots is incredibly important. When you install a piece of technology in a multi-tool or a ship, and even after it's installed, you can change which slot it occupies. This matters because as you come across upgrades for these systems, they need to be installed next to the technology itself to take effect. For example, I have 3 upgrades: the Neural Stimulator Exosuit Movement upgrade, the Shield Lattice Hazard Protection upgrade, and the Oxygen Recycler Life Support upgrade. Each of these upgrades must be placed so they are attached to the respective base technology in order for them to take effect. This initial layout here was not making use of 2 out of the 3 upgrades because we didn't understand that core functionality, but once we moved things around, everything worked as intended. Once you're ready to truly explore, you'll want to know what resources are best to harvest early on. Every planet is a bit different, but these essentials will help you jumpstart your experience with No Man's Sky. Carbon is used in a lot of crafting recipes, but also serves as a primary fuel source for your mining laser. If your mining laser runs out of energy and you don't have carbon on hand, you're going to be in for a bit of a struggle. You can find this from most plants, and we recommend having this on hand at all times. Whenever you see rocks, that's your time to harvest ferrite. You're going to need a metric ton of this stuff for base building and crafting, so stock up now when you have the space. Occasionally, plants or minerals will reward a small amount of oxygen when harvesting them, but you really want to be on the lookout for red glowing plants. These are oxygen rich, and interacting with them will give you a good amount straight into your inventory. Sodium is vital for keeping your hazard protection maintained if you're out in the open or can't find a safe area to replenish your supply. You can find this mixed in with other minerals, but keep an eye out for the yellow glowing sodium-rich plants. While in caves, keep an eye out for cave marrow. The marrow bulbs can be refined into sodium. Cobalt can also be found in most caves, and this resource, when mixed with ferrite, will allow you to create ion batteries, which can also be used to optimally charge your hazard protection. Dihydrogen is most commonly found in the form of blue crystals on pretty much every planet. This is another resource you'll want to stockpile because it's one of the core materials you'll need to craft life support gel and starship launch fuel, two essential crafted items you'll need throughout the game. You'll want to use some of your mined ferrite to repair your broken scanner module. Repairing it opens up an entirely new layer of functionality, which in turn helps you identify and harvest resources more efficiently. Once repaired, you can use your scanner by pressing C on a keyboard or in with your left thumbstick on a controller. This marks important resources within close proximity. An H in a blue diamond denotes dihydrogen, an Na in a yellow diamond denotes sodium, and an O2 in a red diamond denotes oxygen. After repairing your scanner, you should try and get your analysis visor module added to your multi-tool as quickly as possible. The starter quest will eventually lead you to do this, but the sooner you get this installed, the sooner you can get started earning credits. This is one of your most critical pieces of technology that you can have installed, as it allows you to not only see markers indicating valuable points of interest and hidden items in all directions, but it also allows you to begin scanning the various flora and fauna of each world you explore. This is more important than you think early on, because every single new discovery you catalog will award you units, something you'll have in the millions later on, but when starting out are incredibly valuable in securing your resources, technology upgrades, new tools, and components you can't craft yet from vendors across the galaxy. If you start cataloging everything you come across from the very beginning, you'll have a nice chunk of units on hand when you finally need them. Even more important, some nodes on planets can award multiple resources when harvested, but only if you've scanned them first to reveal their secondary material. If you harvest something with multiple resources without scanning it, you'll only get the revealed material. Over time, this extra material can go a long way to alleviate extra work. To install this upgrade module, simply click on an empty technology space, select the upgrade, and it will appear in your tool's technology area. Click on the upgrade that is now in the previously empty slot. This will then take you into what the module requires to be built, and in this case, it's a single carbon nanotube. Go back to your exosuit's inventory, make sure you have a bunch of carbon already harvested, and click an empty space in your cargo area. This will bring up a crafting menu. At first, you'll only have a couple recipes, but as time goes on, this menu will fill up and you'll find yourself in here quite often. Hover over the carbon nanotube craftable and craft one using 50 carbon. You can actually craft multiples of an item when in this menu by using A or D on keyboard or left and right bumpers on controllers to increase or decrease how many you want to craft before committing to that craft. This will dynamically update the resources required, so you'll always know how much you're spending during crafting. We aren't ashamed to say that when we first started out, it took us way longer to realize we could do this than we care to admit, but that's the fun of learning a new game. With the right knowledge and understanding of technology under our belts, our focus shifts to the story and tutorial quests for No Man's Sky. The path is going to look a little like this. The very next thing you'll need to finish is repairing your first starship, the Radiant Pillar BC-1. This will mimic exactly what you were doing with your multi-tool upgrades, just in the starship menu instead. At some point you'll need to locate a hermetic seal. Just explore the marked location and loot the item, which will also unlock it as a recipe for crafting more in the future. As you progress through the quest, you'll need pure ferrite to complete the repairs, and here is where you'll be introduced to the building menu. Pressing Z on a keyboard or up on the D-pad on controller will bring up a building menu that will eventually contain everything you need for building. In this initial instance, you'll need to craft the portable refinery, which you can then place down and pick back up at your leisure. It's a valuable item to have on hand so you can refine resources from the field. Inside the refiner, you'll simply need to add carbon as a fuel source, then input the materials you'll want to refine on the left. This will display a tiny ratio next to it showing the conversion rate. If you're happy with what you're refining, start the process and wait for production to finish. Once you've repaired your ship, you'll embark on your first flight, but there is something very important to keep in mind. Every time you take off, you'll consume a significant portion of your launch thruster's fuel, which is why I strongly suggest taking a bit of time to farm dihydrogen to keep a healthy stockpile of fuel on you. The game even has the ability to call your ship to you, but if your thrusters are empty, it won't be able to take off and you'll need to walk all the way back to where you left your ship, so always make sure your thrusters have enough in them before you walk away. Once you've lifted off for the first time in No Man's Sky, you'll head to your next destination within the galaxy. This is where you'll be tasked with building your first base. The quest you'll want to follow is called Base Computer Archives, and it will eventually lead you to acquiring not only the blueprints to make your first storage chest, but also a significant amount of new technologies that massively open up the game for you. I highly recommend you follow this quest as quickly as possible to avoid having massively cluttered inventories and limiting what you can pick up on your adventures. Every time you complete part of this questline, you'll need to interact with the Base Computer Archives terminal to keep things moving. You'll want to make the research unit early on, which will allow you to research new deployables and base building pieces in exchange for salvage data. To locate salvage data, you'll need two things. First is your analysis visor, so you can locate the markers on the map that tell you where there's a buried technology module. You'll need to track those locations and navigate to them. The second thing you'll need is the terrain manipulator module for your multi-tool. If you weren't aware, No Man's Sky is a voxel-based game, which means you're able to use this tool to shape and flatten the terrain, as well as cut into and harvest it. There are even resources such as copper, salt, pyrite, and more that require you to locate deposits with your analysis visor and then use this tool to rip them out of the terrain. If you haven't already made this module, now is the time. Once you've reached a location, dig down into the ground and collect the buried data. I should note, data isn't only used to research building upgrades. You can also sell this data for a large amount of units, and it's one of the fastest ways to build up a large reserve of currency when first starting out. To add on to that, we have a quick set of tips regarding how you should spend your salvage data. Inside the research unit, you'll want to get your hands on the base teleport module and the biofuel reactor as soon as possible. This allows you to easily teleport yourself between other bases you construct, as well as the various space stations you discover. This saves you significant time and resources in the long run, as you don't always need to then fly to these locations. Whatever you do, don't spend data on the battery or solar panel modules. These are super valuable buildables you should have in all bases eventually, but by following the Base Computer Archives questline, you'll get both of them for free, saving you a ton of data that can instead go towards building pieces or easy credits. Once you've gotten all of the basics under your belt, it's time to take to the stars, for real this time. And while this is where No Man's Sky entirely opens up, you should absolutely make visiting space stations and trade posts in each system a priority. These are very important hubs that you'll make use of countless times and in countless variations over the course of your progression. In particular, space stations offer vendors and markets for buying and selling almost everything in the game. One of the most important things you can find there are upgrades to expand your inventory slots in your exosuit and technology slots in your multi-tool. You can get an upgrade from both the Space Station Technology Merchant and the Space Anomaly Terminal every single time you visit a new system. Space stations and trade outposts are also home to a massive amount of NPCs, most of which you can talk to. It might sound strange, but in No Man's Sky, you start out knowing nothing about the various races' languages. Over time, you'll learn individual words from various knowledge stones at points of interest on planets, but to learn words in bulk, you'll want to engage with NPCs of that race at space stations and trade posts. You can request each NPC you come across to teach you a random word from a list of categories, and you should be taking advantage of that every chance you get, as it will allow you to gradually understand more of their language, helping you engage in better conversations and eventually undertake quests you otherwise wouldn't be able to understand. You can even take this a step further. Using context clues such as an NPC's interest and words you learn related to that interest, you can actually practice dialogue with each NPC in an attempt to gain favor with that race. This can yield rare rewards from that NPC, resources, or even win or lose favor with that entire race based on how you reply. By gaining favor, you can open up new missions, items at vendors, or even large discounts at stores operated by those races. If you thought that was intense, just wait, because that was just the appetizer. No Man's Sky has done an incredible job developing their game 9 years after launch and continue to release new content every year. If you're like us and have been on the fence about this game, hopefully now you're set up with the knowledge to explore No Man's Sky at your own pace without worrying about missing any early tips and systems. There has never been a better time to start exploring No Man's Sky, which you can check out on Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, or Switch using the link in the description below. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.